My character, Don, I completely adore him. He's a man, big heart, kind of one of nature's innocents. He has a job that might be conventionally considered dull, but he thinks it's the most exciting, wonderful job in the world, and that's mail carrier. He doesn't say postman or mailman. To me, that's beneath my dignity, you know. He is a mail carrier, and he tells his adventures. He just talks nonstop and jumps from subject to subject. He has one of those kind of water bug minds. He skitters around. And he clears the room every time he starts. You know, people who know him know, get out of there if he starts talking. Everybody but his son Brad, played by Will Ferrell. His son just thinks he's a completely wonderful father. Will and Mark are a comedy pairing made in comedy heaven. And it worked just wonderfully in the first film. They're sort of opposites of each other. And yet, you can imagine Linda Cardellini loving both of them. You know, a first marriage that just didn't work out, full of lots of passion, but just a doomed marriage. And Will is like the other side. It's like kind of the raunchy, tough guy and this sweet teddy bear. They're just opposites. Oh, we're just perfect, a perfect pairing of father and son, Will and me. Just sort of nice guys, cheerful outlook, old-fashioned values, Midwestern. Well, Will's from Southern Cal, but I'm from the Midwest. When I was asked to play Will's father, I was so excited. I just couldn't wait to see the two of us in the same frame. It was automatically funny. In fact, when I tell my friends what I'm doing, they immediately laugh. And they laugh even harder when they find out that Mark Wahlberg's father is going to be Mel Gibson. You know, the casting of this film, it was like the stars all coming into alignment. You know, they're the two ultimate badass guys. The wonderful thing it does for Mark's character, and in its way, for Will's character, you add a father to the mix, and you see a completely different side to any character. Suddenly, Mark, who is got a real swagger and is very dominating and self-assured in the first film, suddenly he's tremendously threatened, insecure, defiant, and resentful. All these different colors that you didn't see the first time. And his father is the ultimate sort of alpha male. So that's a great dynamic going on. And as I say, Will and I are the exact opposite of that. You have two extremely different styles of parenting. One completely tough love and the other soft love. It's basically boils down to that, and you can guess which dad is which. And the nice thing is, at the beginning of our film, it's right after the end of the first film, when Brad and Dusty, that is Mark and Will, they've come into alignment. They've decided to work as co-dads. They have sort of filled each other's various vacuums. The tough guy is being given a soft side, and the softie is being made to toughen up a little bit. And it's working beautifully. It's only when the dads come along that it all falls apart again. It was interesting to talk to Sean Anders and John Morris about their process. They really did not want to do a sequel until they hit on an idea that made it completely different. And in many ways much more complicated and complex. And they're really, really good storytellers. So once they got this, then they worked on the casting. Mel is just innately funny. You cannot tell Mel Gibson a joke that he doesn't already know. And he tells them with such energy. He's just a wonderful guy. He's so exuberant. And he's very surprising to me because I think of him as a very brooding actor. But then you think back to his sort of hyperactive role in Lethal Weapon and his comedy days a long time ago. He's got a real twinkle in his eye. He knows how funny he is, and that's a rare thing. I think his choice to do this movie is the coolest thing he's done in years. I've always said the best thing to do is the thing that's the most different as possible from the thing you did last. Well, the last thing we know him for is directing Hacksaw Ridge. We hit on this notion of him talking all the time. He actually didn't talk that much in the script that I read, but he was very friendly. He liked to, he deliberately changes planes as often as he can on a trip so that he'll meet as many new people as possible. He just loves chatting with people. I said, there's something there. Let's explode that. Let's make him into a very boring person who talks all the time. First of all, they'll love all the characters and the combination of characters. The four guys, but also Linda Cardellini, who's the perfect sort of wife of two husbands. And the kids, the adorable kids. But the main thing I think people will get out of this film is they really will connect. Everybody knows what happens at Christmas to families, the stresses and strains. To me, the phrase in sort of Christmas mythology that sticks with me is, the hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. Hope and fear, and anxiety and dysfunction. It's all there, and yet it's a very good-hearted film. It's an extremely funny film, and it sort of puts everything in place. I think it's going to be one of the great Christmas movies. I think the craziest and the least familiar, the most surprising, is when we all dress up and create a living nativity, something I never even heard of. But I've now participated in a living nativity. And by the way, my character Don, he's done many of them. He's played all the parts. He can name all the churches in Terre Haute, Indiana that have had living nativities. Just flick on the switch and he'll tell you everything.
Hey, so I hoped you liked the video. Now stay with me as I have an interesting behind-the-scenes fact. Do you remember that famous diner scene in Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro? Well, in reality, they aren't actually sitting together. The two actors got into a fight while working on The Godfather 2 and refused to appear on camera together. Director Michael Mann compromised by filming the actors separately and composing the shot later. During the scene, nobody in the background crosses the middle of the frame. Now, if you haven't already done it, remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to always receive the latest trailers the moment they are online. See you next time!